It's a busy weekend in the Premier League, and of course, we have a chance to win $50,000. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jason Mattis, of course, with Winning Bets, hanging out with you guys on this episode where we're talking Premier League and the NBC Sports Predictor app where we can win $50,000. That's right, they give you 6 games. All you have to do is correctly predict the score and result for all 6 games to take home that $50,000. And if not, you can accumulate the most points and you can win $1,000. Hey, all season long, I also give away $25 every week to the winner of the Winning Bets League. If you need that league information, you can grab it from this video description. Let's take a look and see who won last week. Looks like we had Mumsy with 44 points, so just an outstanding entry right there, getting 44 points. That's 4 correct scores and 1 result. They just missed out on one of the game, there being Brighton, Liverpool. Otherwise, 44 points and just outstanding work, so nice work there by that person. They've already hit me up on Twitter and got their $25, so we can skip that little spiel. Otherwise, hey, everybody else, just join that group. We all start off with 0 points every single week. Perhaps this is the week for you to take my $25. As we do on every show, we like to kind of look back at the previous match week and kind of talk about some of the most important things that happened in that match week. So let's make sure we go ahead and do that. And it started off last Friday with Aston Villa and Leeds in a 2-1 game, won by Aston Villa. And watch that entire match on Friday. You know, Villa gets the early goal, but boy, Leeds was better in that game. Really done in by Jesse Marsch and their team to not at least walk away with a point. Typical Leeds football, they just attack and attack and attack. Unfortunately, they just can't shore up that defense, and they just concede a little bit too many goals, but they're just a lot of fun to watch. And again, I thought they were better in that game than Aston Villa, but that's how it goes sometimes in football. You can be the better side and not get all the points, so bad stuff right there. Moving on into Saturday's action, Brentford, they knocked off Bournemouth. That was to be expected. We cashed over 1.5 total goals there by Brentford on our, my daily sports betting show. Bournemouth is, damn near almost going to be in the relegation zone. We kind of talked about all the goals they concede on the road. So that was a straightforward, no doubter result right there. Brentford picking up the 3 points. Wolves and West Ham, that was a big game for the relegation. And just another game which we talk about. Both teams have scored no, but yet somebody's going to find a winner. And this time it was Wolves winning 1-0. Boring game, just relegation scrap, and that's kind of what you get sometimes. So, hey, how about Forest knocking off Leicester? How about Forest knocking off Leicester 2-0? And how about them just not knocking off Leicester? Leicester did nothing in that game, and I mean, they were atrociously bad. I was holding on to a both teams to score and over 2.5 bet. And I'd say it was a sweat, but it wasn't even a sweat. That's how bad Leicester was. Give Forest all the credit. Looked great at home. Leicester's bad, and they're kind of in trouble. I would say, they're one of the 3 teams that, is wondering maybe should we bring in Thomas Tuchel? And I think the other team is David Moyes. He's got to be wondering that. Frank Lampard over at Leverton. And again, Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. All those guys have to be worried about Thomas Tuchel lurking and maybe possibly taking their job. Leicester was really bad. Everton, Southampton. Southampton was able to carry that momentum they got against Manchester City there in the Carabao Cup. They carried it over into Goodison Park, getting the win. Both teams scored. Looked like a good match, and Southampton getting the 3 points in that one. Brighton and Liverpool, watch that one. Liverpool was bad. Their spacing was bad. Their midfield is really slow with Thiago and Henderson, which they got to break that up. They got to get some youth in there. You saw them play better midweek against Wolves in the FA Cup. They had, I think his name's like Begatic. He needs to start more often and just get Henderson. He's so wasteful with the ball. Henderson has just been bad now for what seems like the last month. Again, I just think the whole midfield's slow. They were bad against Brighton, and Brighton, boy, they just continue to impress. Putting, was it 3-0? It was 3-0? Yeah, it was 3-0. They were super impressive. Had a penalty claim there in the first half. Could have been more, but whoa. Liverpool fixed it midweek in the FA Cup against Wolves. We'll need to see what they do this weekend here against Chelsea. Unfortunately, it's not one of the games that we get to predict here on the app. But we did talk about all the games on this week's episode of Between the Posts if you want to go ahead and check that one out with Matt and I. But we're looking to see what Liverpool does back in the league after a nice performance against Wolves. But yeah, Brighton just continues to do what they do. And then Manchester City taking on Manchester United there at Old Trafford. Kind of a boring-ish first half, no real chances, no real threatening chances by either team. Second half, City comes out. They were by far the better team, and they were able to take advantage of being the better team initially and getting a goal. And then the controversy happens with Rashford, where he's clearly in an offside position. Nobody's debating he's offside. It's whether or not his movement and where he is on the pitch impacts the Manchester City defenders, causing the offsides call to happen, or you don't, and then Bruno's goal stands. Everybody knows I'm a United fan. I think that should have been offsides because Ake and Walker both react to Rashford. They can't really, leave him be because he's right near the ball. Who's to say Rashford's not going to pick it up and with his pace take a couple dribbles and then take a shot on goal? So I thought City was done in hard. That goal, that moment completely changed that game because up until that point in that second half, it was all Manchester City. United gets that goal, and then they go ahead and get the second goal through Rashford, of course, because that's what Rashford's been doing. He's been scoring all the goals. And they get out of there with a 2-1 win. But up until that moment, City was definitely the better. But listen to Guardiola's press conference, and he wasn't happy. And I'm a United fan, and I want things officiated, fair, and I would have called that an offsides all day long. So a little tough right there. Then the next one on Sunday was the North London derby there between Tottenham and Arsenal. Arsenal just does what they do. They look so goddamn good with the ball. Their attacking is great. They held on to a clean sheet. I talked about how on last week's show that if they were able to score first, they would have the defense to hold off Tottenham. Well, they held them off to a clean sheet. So, they're making signings. They got Trossard now there from Brighton. So, wow, they're just pushing all the right buttons, and they just look really good in attack. They're a team that I thoroughly enjoy watching, and they manhandled that North London derby. Then Newcastle taking on Fulham a little bit later on that day. Newcastle dominated Fulham. Fulham did nothing. The game was 0-0. Fulham gets a penalty. Thankfully, the penalty, even though in the back of the net because Mitrovic banged it off the inside of his left foot, was rightfully disallowed. And then Newcastle got the goal that they so deserved in that match. They were by far the better side. Again, Fulham didn't even sniff their goal. Man, if Newcastle would have dropped any amount of points, I think that would have been really hard. But thankfully, again, the PK disallowed was the right call, obviously. And then Newcastle gets the 3 points. And then Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace finally get back in the win column. Does Graham Potter and Chelsea in the league, picking up a big 3 points. Wasn't sexy, wasn't flashy, but it was very workmanlike, getting the 3 points, 1-0 against Palace. Palace is, we talked about it, there's not a great team away from Selhurst Park, so the result wasn't that surprising. It was just nice to see Chelsea get the 3 points. It was very much what they needed. So that was a game. Then midweek, there were a couple midweek games. Those were the 10 weekend games. There was a midweek game. Crystal Palace taking on Manchester United on Wednesday. United was punished for not getting the second goal. I mean, quite frankly, first half, they were the better side. They got the goal. The goal came late. I think the first 20 minutes, it was relatively even, and then United, was really growing into the game, and they got their goal just before halftime. Second half was, kind of a even second half, and then United makes a defensive change by taking off Weghorst and throwing on McTominay. So that's an attacker coming off for a defensive midfielder, and they're just trying to hold on for dear life, and they let Palace grow into the game. They let Palace grow into the game by making that substitution, and Palace, with that confidence, was able to get an equalizer off a beautiful free kick there by Elise. I mean, hit the underside of the crossbar and deflected in. Beautiful free kick, but you shouldn't let a team grow into it. You get the second goal or just stay on the front foot altogether and try to keep getting that second goal. So United was rightfully punished. I thought they deserved to be punished for the way they let that last 20 or so minutes. If you're at home and you want to play those tactics, fine. But not when you're on the road and in this case, Selhurst Park, the crowd is going to get behind their team with 20 minutes to go and push and urge them to find an equalizer. So just a bad one there by Manchester United. Then yesterday, Manchester City taking on Tottenham. You think you're getting the dream there by Spurs because they want to play on the counter. They want their opponent to have the ball. That's what they get in the first half. They get a couple goals, albeit the first one was on a terrible mistake there by Ederson. The second one is what Tottenham wants to do. They want to flip you over, somewhere on the pitch. The second one was around about half field, and then they want to hit you on the counter. And that's exactly what that second goal was. That was a beautiful Spurs goal right there. And then the second half, boy, I wanted to be in that locker room there for Guardiola. I don't know what he said to those guys, but they came out and just like gangbusters there in the second half, getting 4 goals. Haaland gets back on the score sheet. He had been quiet for the last couple of weeks. They ran 2 strikers in that game. They did Alvarez and Haaland together in a partnership. Maybe we see more of that going forward. Not quite sure. We'll see. But either way, just a complete turnaround there by Manchester City and getting the 3 points and what ended up being an absolutely fantastic game. So that's what happened last week in the Premier League right there. Let's go ahead now and jump on into this week's games where we're going to, again, try and predict 6 games to win $50,000. The first one they want us to try and predict is Leicester versus Brighton. Here's a little staggering kind of stat here about Leicester. Their goal differential is 26 and 33. And what that means is 26 goals scored and 33 goals conceded. You think most teams play better at home. This game's at the King Power Stadium. Their goal differential at home, though, is 9 and 10. They've only scored 9 of their 26 goals at home. Their goal differential away would then make it 17 and 23. So a much better away side. Either way, they're conceding too much on the road, but they're not conceding a lot at home, but they're not scoring a lot at home. Very troubling there as you welcome Brighton into town. Because Brighton, as we know and as we've talked about, they're a 7th place team on the table, but on the road, they're a 4th place team in the table on the road. Brighton continue to cruise. Talked about how they're in that recap, how they easily, beat Liverpool, took them down. They just sold Trossard. He moves over now to Arsenal, which is a blow to Brighton, but the manager's got a no discipline. He's not tolerating anything. He's not tolerating anything. And Trossard was the latest example. There was a rumor where he had not given his effort, not given all of his effort, and they disciplined him, and then they sent him packing over to Arsenal. So this manager seems to just be pushing all the right buttons. I obviously like Brighton in this spot, and I like Brighton big. Again, Leicester's not scoring at home where you think they would be better. Brighton's defense is fantastic. I'm going Brighton 3-0. I'm going to say a Brighton 3-0 win. Next matchup we got here is Crystal Palace taking on Newcastle. And I know Crystal Palace is at home, and they definitely played better at home. But they played midweek against Manchester United. I think that's going to impact them here. Newcastle, they didn't have a game midweek. They're going to be fully rested. Newcastle continues to just pick up 3 points after 3 points. And again, they could have gotten 3 or 4 goals past Fulham. They got the 3 points. That's all that really matters. But they could have really ran it up on them. Just didn't quite have that finishing. This one smells like an under. Under 2.5 in this head-to-head has cashed in 12 of the last 13. That's right. 12 of the last 13 head-to-heads have seen under 2.5 goals. I'm going to stick to that. But of course, I like Newcastle to get the 3 points. Give me a Newcastle 2-0 win. Their defense is way too tough. Nick Pope, I think, is the best goalie in all the Premier League. Yeah, I'm going Newcastle 2-0. The next one we got here is Leeds taking on Brentford, and this one should be an absolute goal fest. But you got Leeds involved, so that naturally is going to go ahead and bring goals. I mean, they cashed both teams to score in over 2.5 so much that Cardiff cashed that in both of their games in the FA Cup in legs 1 and 2 because they had to play a replay. Cardiff cashed it. Leeds over 2.5 is cashed in 12 of the 18 games. Both teams to score has hit in 11 of those 12. For Brentford, over 2.5 goals has cashed in 11 of 19 games, where their games average 3.2 goals. And it's cashed on the road in 6 of 9 games, and their games average 3.3 goals on the road. So all I see in this game is goals, goals, goals. I cannot wait to watch it. Ganato there for Leeds is exceptionally fun to watch. We know they got Rodrigo. We all like Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson. Leeds is they're just a fun team to watch. I know I don't want to say they're in a relegation fight, but if they keep conceding like they are, you could see where they could get passed up, and now they're in a relegation fight. I hope not. I want this team to remain in the Premier League because I just enjoy watching them every week. This one's going to have goals. Who wins? I don't know. I'm going 2-2. Give me a 2-2 draw between Leeds and Brentford. Next one we got here is Manchester City taking on Wolves, and obviously Manchester City is going to come in super confident, coming off that dramatic second half comeback against Spurs. Wolves lose midweek in the FA Cup against Liverpool 1-0. Typical Wolves game. They're generally low scoring. They generally don't create a whole hell of a lot. I mean, of course, they created some chances against Liverpool, but nothing all that threatening, I didn't think, and watched most of that game. City have dominated this head-to-head like they've dominated most head-to-heads. They've won 5 of the last head-to-head. Wolves with more rest, maybe that says it's going to be low scoring, but Guardiola can rotate at his leisure, and maybe it won't because De Bruyne didn't start, Foden didn't start, Silva didn't start against Spurs. So he can rotate, and those are 3 guys in that are regular starters, and they walk into every other team in the Premier League starting 11. So I'm going to say it's not quite low scoring. I think it does get over 2.5. I'm going City on the clean sheet. It's at the Etihad. Wolves, I'll tell you this. Their shot target prop in terms of shots on target, like from a betting perspective, is set at 1.5. You could take the over or the under of 1.5. They're going to, and I actually looked that up to maybe bet it. It's actually been cashing, taking the under 1.5. They get no looks against this City team. They dominate them. They're not going to get clean looks. I'm going City 3-0. Go ahead and give me a City 3-0 win. And I'll be looking to see if they play that 2-striker thing like they did against Spurs, or if they're going to revert back to just Haaland playing up top. I'll be looking to see what that is. I'll be keeping an eye on that. But yeah, City 3-0 win for me. Next one we got here is Arsenal taking on Manchester United, with Arsenal's only loss this season coming against Manchester United. There will be no Casemiro, as he picked up a yellow card and now he's been suspended. And I know that's being talked about as a big thing, and sure, Casemiro's a top 3, top 5 CDM in all of Europe, so he does matter. But just keep in mind, when United beat Arsenal earlier this season, they did not have Casemiro in that team. So confidence-wise, yeah, sucks not having Casemiro, but they're going to be just as confident because they were able to beat this Arsenal squad. Both teams on an absolute roll. Even though United did drop points midweek, they're on an absolute roll. These are the 2 best teams to me in the Premier League. I think Arsenal's better. It's pain saying that as a Manchester United fan. I think Arsenal definitely is better. I mean, they just look really good in attack. They probably get the 3 points, but I think the fanboy in me and Manchester United wants to say that this one's going to be a draw. So that's what I settled on, but I'm not going to be surprised if Arsenal gets the 3 points. They're just really good in attack. But I went 1-1. Go ahead and give me a 1-1 draw. Can't wait to watch that one unfold. Could be another snooze fest. You kind of get that when, teams in the top half of the Premier League, top 4 in the Premier League hook up, but we'll see what happens in this one, but I'm going to go 1-1 draw. Then the last one we want to talk about here is Fulham. They're taking on Tottenham. Tottenham continues to concede first. It's 12 of the last 13. 11 of the last 13. 11 of the last 13, they have conceded first. That smells like trouble going up against Fulham. Fulham's going to be rested. They didn't play midweek. We obviously know Spurs took on Manchester City. This one feels like an over 2.5. Over 2.5 is hit in 16 of the 20 Fulham games. It's hit in 9 of the 10 games at home. They cashed against Chelsea last time they were at home. Well, Tottenham also cashes over 2.5 in 11 of their 19 games, 5 of 9 on the road. Last 8 head-to-heads have cashed over 2.5, and 6 of those last 8 head-to-heads, and 6 of those last 8 have also seen both teams to score. So, yeah, this one smells like an absolute goal fest. I think Spurs' knack of conceding first and going down early is going to bite them in this one. I'm not taking Tottenham to get a win. I think they go down a couple goals early or something, or even with just 1 goal early. And, of course, they're going to have some fight and they're going to get some goals. But I like Fulham. I'm taking Fulham on the win. They're going to jump on Tottenham early. They're going to maintain that lead. It may get level at some point, but I think they're going to find the winner of these 2 clubs. So give me a Fulham 3-2 win. I'll take Fulham to win 3-2. All right, and that'll wrap up the 6 games this week on the NBC Sports Predictor app. Again, if you want to go ahead and join the league and take my $25 every week, you can get it from this video description. Otherwise, I always want to wish you guys good luck in winning that $50,000. Come on back next week. We'll do it all over again. Have a good one. That was a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and good luck with your picks. If interested in placing real sports bets, then check out my latest daily free sports betting video in the bottom right corner. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next contest.